Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. I am your host Utkarsh Shukla and let me introduce you to my guest Eagle. Eagle, thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And uh, I just want to say my name is pronounced like Agle for anybody. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
so
it's Lithuanian, a little bit different.
correct.
So, but Eagle is okay too.
So Agle, let's begin with our questions. So can you please introduce yourself to our audience? Anything you want to talk about yourself or anything you want us to know about you?
Yeah, so I am an artist, and I was born in Lithuania. When I was about 11 years old, my immediate family, and I moved to the United States, to the Chicago area, and I lived here from then on with some places like during college and after, like studying abroad and stuff like that. But I've really fallen in love with just having more of like an international perspective and connecting with people around the world. And I've always loved art, but I've also always loved school and academics and business. So after college, I was kind of a little bit struggling. And a few years later, I decided I want to pursue just like a career as an artist, whatever that may mean. And that path led me to my current roles right now, which are I work at the Lithuanian Foundation here in Chicago, and I do the communications and the development for that. And it's really fun, rewarding, and it's really great because it's really tapped into the community that I didn't realize I really wanted to be part of. Like they were always there, but I didn't realize it. And now that I've found it, it's really rewarding. And I'm also an artist independently. So I've self-published a few books, and I have a TikTok channel with a little bit over 19,000 followers.
That's pretty awesome, Agle. So there is one confusion, or I can say there is a wide range of artists that we hear, right? Like it's like superset where in artist there can be like few are painting artists while few are music artists. So in which field you are right now, and can you just
Yeah,
express it?
so love that question. I am a multimedia artist. I grew up drawing primarily and like learned to read and write, which I did fall in love with literature, although I never expected to write any books at all. I just took writing classes for fun, and then they were talking about publishing, and I was like, wait, what? Like I thought this is just a hobby or whatever. So I got into like drawing and literature really, really young, and I've always loved music, but I never got any training for it. And I did do like dance and stuff like that, and I've tried out for like a lot of different types of art growing up. Um, but yeah, then I learned like photography, which I did for many years, and painting, and just continued exploring different media. So I'm really like an interdisciplinary artist. And actually, um, I know we're going to talk about my dreams a little bit. So my actually like what I'm doing right now is fulfilling one of my really big dreams, which is working with music. So that's really my focus right now because if I could, I would just do like all of these different uh, types of media, every single week. Like I would get into even carpentry because I was like really good at wood shop and like, sewing and all this stuff. Like I just love it all. But I learned that focusing on one at a time is really the best way to actually make things happen. So right now, this year, I have this crazy music goal. I really want to make $100,000 as a musician without really a lot of experience or training or anything, but I'm just going for it. So that's kind of what I'm doing now.
That's pretty awesome. I think you are not a single set of artists. I can say you have covered multiple fields, like from painting to music and different aspects. So that's pretty awesome. I think, and that is also like you are following your passion as well, like what you are liking to do in the art, you are following it. the example you have given about music industry, like you wanted to make $100,000 right now by showing your art in the music industry, and still you are trying to figure it out. So that's pretty awesome of you, like setting up the goals at the pretty starting that, hey, I wanted to earn from my passion as well, and then follow it. So that's how I think we set the bars, and we are following our passion, but at the same time, it is helping us in grow and earn as well.
Yes, and I just feel like having a financial goal really helps me focus. It helps me see if I'm just spinning in circles and making excuses, or if I'm actually taking actions that are getting me closer to that result. And it really forces me to get out of my comfort zone. I mean, I could have made a goal such as, release 50 songs or something like that. And that might have been equally as rewarding. But I actually am finding it so inspiring and interesting to pursue the financial aspect of the artistry because there's just so many myths in the music industry about, and for artists in general, myths about the starving artist and selling out and all this stuff that's really unhealthy. So I really want my work to be kind of a guiding light for people who are on a similar path, whether they're ahead or behind me. We can all learn from each other and to show others that you can make money and you don't even have to be the best and you don't have to have all this experience. It's all about creating something that resonates with people and actually being willing to show it to them and like getting it out there and the business savvy of like demanding the money that you're worth and honoring the finances of the business, because it is a business. And when we think about most of the successful artists throughout history, they did get paid. And the more you get paid, the more you can create. So it really unlocks a lot more creativity.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, financial independency and having some financial goals is pretty important in order to grow because somehow directly or indirectly we are dependent on our financial situation as well in order to pursue our dreams or in order to follow our passion. Sometimes it is required to be financially independent as well. So as you mentioned, you are into music industry, so you are in music direction or like music creation or like what field of music industry you are
Great question. So my parameters for myself this year are that I collect $100,000 through any channel of music making that it comes through. So I've been producing my own songs just on GarageBand. I write them, I perform them, I'm publishing them. I like read a few books and been doing a lot of learning about how the industry works because there's so much that goes into it. It's really overwhelming. And the interesting thing about music is it actually demands all the other skills that I've gained as an artist along the way, in terms of marketing and video creation, like that I learned through TikTok and just being online and just being in business. And I've done a lot of sales roles and stuff. It requires the visual aspect of creating beautiful art. It requires the writing aspect of good songwriting and good copy. You have to sell the music, and and that's an art form in and of itself. And being like the performing, like, and for photo shoots and stuff like that, you have to model. And when I started the journey, something I started doing for the first time ever was like trying to model a little bit. And I was really nervous and really uncomfortable in front of the camera at first, and shooting outside, like, oh my God, people can see me and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it took a lot of building up to this. And so I love that it demands a lot. And so yeah, but I think at the heart of it, it's the songs. And a lot of times, especially being independent and taking on such a crazy goal, it's really easy to feel frustrated and defeated. But what really helps me is to think like these songs could really serve people. They could really change people's lives and heal and save them and help them find a release. And I do have, in my opinion, like a very specialized set of knowledge and communication that not a lot of artists do. And so I feel like I write music that, and I express things in a way that other people, I really like to believe that they can't, just because of some of the tools they may not have acquired. So I think it's important, and having this sense of service and seriousness about it, and realizing what it can do for others, just like how music has done for me, really drives me.
I totally agree with you on this point. Like music can be act as a healer and can help people to uh, and help them in their life in whatever situation they are in. Like you have mentioned, it has helped you, and you are trying, and you are not trying to help other people by creating the music that you think can help them. So that's pretty awesome of you in order to do something that can be helpful to other at the same time following what you like to do.
Yeah, because I really appreciate the musicians that have helped me feel empowered and inspired as I've lived through my life. And there are times when I'm struggling and I'll think of a song lyric and I'm like, yeah, no, that's right. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And so to know that there's a potential for me to be that voice for others, and it's really exciting, I think. And my strategy in general for this year is to kind of like, because $100,000, you know, unless you come from a very wealthy background already, and you have all these connections of people who could just pay you to perform or whatever, or get you hooked up to the big deals, it's difficult for most musicians starting out to make that much money. So I'm focusing on like the amount of value that I can create as a musician, and I want that to be so much more than $100,000 worth, so that it's kind of like a no-brainer to get that money for myself.
Right. Since we are talking about the songs that helps people, can you just name anyone that has helped you?
Oh, so many. You know what? Is it okay to to swear on this?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, so one song that is so funny, like I just love it because I don't even really have this kind of drama in my life or anything, but occasionally like I'll get glimpses of it. So there's a song by Cardi B with, I think, Glorilla, from like a year or two ago, where she's like talking about people being like obsessed with her, and she's like, I got condos in that bitch's head. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, some people are just so obsessed. Like they really can't stop thinking about me when I'm just like moving on with my life,
Yeah,
and I don't really care about them. And it's like I'm living rent free in their head. So like that is like so validating. And then in recent years, I've really loved Megan Thee Stallion. And there's not like a particular song necessarily, there's a lot of them. But and I don't necessarily agree with like everything she sings about, and her whole lifestyle, but she is really tall like me. She's like 5'10" or 5'11", and she is so proud of that, and she really owns that. And that has been so inspiring to me as a fellow tall woman, to just hear a woman be so proud of her size and her height. I'm like, yeah, yeah, like big old freak, yeah, like you know and just kind of like yeah, just she seems like really empowered to me, and she's helped me um kind of feel charged up from that power as well, so I really appreciate her.
that's pretty awesome. I think so. The songs in which people are talking about themselves and letting us know that you are not alone with who is same like you, right? And there can be scenarios where people are telling things about you, but you can just ignore them. I think that's what you mean by that line.
Yeah, I look at it kind of like, they're sharing this confident energy that
Yeah,
I can feel through their music when they're talking about themselves. I can listen and be like, yeah, yeah, like I can do that too. And I I am like, whatever. And so it really just gets me excited and makes me feel like, you know, just, yeah, like just charged with that kind of confidence and courage and fierce energy.
That's pretty awesome. So let's jump to our final question. So, any stories you like to share with us from your personal or professional life? I know there must be many since you have covered a lot of things. So, any stories
Yeah.
you want to share?
I don't, the thing about me is the reason I started writing books is because in 2017, which is the year I decided to go for it as an artist, I had so many crazy things happen that I was like, this feels like it should be a book or a movie or something. So that's why I started writing, and I have so many more stories. Like I'm not, it was part of like the first two books are kind of part of a series. And so I have so many more stories, and I grew up kind of living for the plot, you could say. And I would just kind of do crazy, genuinely crazy things, like dangerous things that I don't recommend others do. But yeah, so when I was like preparing for this, I really was trying to think of something, but it's just too many. Too many stories to share right now. I'll just say with the music thing, like um I started writing my and producing in 2019, and I did it kind of automatically. Like it felt like very compulsive. And my friend taught me about song structure and just like the basics of it, and like, oh, he's like, oh yeah, it's just like a verse and a chorus, a verse and a chorus. And I was like, oh, all right, let me try writing music. And then I it really unlocked a lot of things that were very therapeutic, but also very tender for me to open up to. And it did affect my mental health a little bit, but and 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 then I like moved to Lithuania to heal, and there I wrote a little bit more. I like started writing a lot of songs there that I didn't finish, and it really took me on this really cool path. And so I just think in general with art, any kind of art, I think art in general is so misunderstood because it's literally self-mastery. Like it's so many skills that people don't have in everyday life. Like a lot of people think drawing and painting is about the rendering. They think it's about producing an image. That's not it. It's about observation. You have to actually see things and actually look at things very carefully. Recently, I completed a drawing of my mother that I'm going to give her as a gift. And so I looked at the app, I spent like 16 hours drawing that. And so I know like every crevice of my mom's face now after doing that. And it made me appreciate my own beauty so much more, and made me notice like, oh, like because I look a lot more like my dad. So so when I was drawing her, I was like, oh, I have that feature. Like we have the same features. Like that is so cool. So it's a lot about looking. And so like music actually is a lot about listening. It's not just about singing. And it just teaches you how to be a person and process the world and generate something from your experience. And that's really what I wanted to share. I'm sorry I don't have any specific stories because I love to tell them, but I'm telling you, if I got started on one, like there would just be no end. So
No, no, that's pretty awesome. I think you have covered how you end up into a music industry and what was the path you have followed. Like it can affect your mental health as well, but at the end you need to stay strong in order to do what you're liking to. And at the same time, you have covered the artist stories, like how important it is to be a good observer in order to paint something good or in order to draw something good. As you have mentioned, like while creating the art of your mother, you have gone through each and every aspect of her face. So now you know her pretty much better, and it has changed your thinking. Like yes, you thought you look like a father, but now you know that there are some aspects of your mother as well that are in you. So I think that's a pretty deep thing that we get ignored. Like observing things can change our mindset and can help us in knowing things better. It's pretty important to observe the things. I think that's what I can take away from your story.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can be more specific, just so you know, like there's like an insecurity I've had as I've gotten older, which is like I'm like, oh my God, my cheeks have like a dent. or something. Or like, oh, like when I smile, there's like a little bit of like a pinch in my cheeks. And I'm like, oh my God, my mom has that. And I'm like, wow, like that's a genetic trait. Like that's my heritage, that's my lineage. And actually, like I've become so much more proud of that after seeing it in my mom, and not feeling like the only one in the world struggling with this. Because also, if I see like a girl that I don't know, it's not the same. I'm like, oh, well, it's different for her. So yeah, definitely. And it is a lot about observation and just like processing and learning to process and learning to take critique. And art teaches you a lot of different ways to think and teaches you patience and trusting the process. Like paintings, especially notoriously, you have to have so much faith. Right up until the end, your painting is gonna look ugly. Like that's just part of it. And so if you have like a big goal, it's similar to a painting. It's like it's gonna not look like it pretty much right up until the end when you start putting on the final touches and you're like, wait, this is beautiful, finally. So it taught me a lot to in every different media that I've ever touched has taught me so much about life and interacting with people, myself, and everything like that.
Really awesome. So just one more question to this thing that you have explained us. Any one advice you like to give to the young artist or who wants to start their career in arts, that can be music or painting? Any one advice you like to give to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to, can I like address
Yes,
like
for sure.
dear artist, if
Yeah.
you're watching this right now and you're aspiring as an artist, fall in love with business. They're not contradictory, and learning about money and finances, you can develop such a beautiful relationship with yourself. It's a lot about boundaries, it's about self-respect and value, and it is so crucial to your success as an artist and as a human being, and it can really enrich your creativity. So, if you're an artist, I really, really encourage you to just get curious, just like you would about a subject or a theme that you're exploring in your art, to pick up like accounting, financing books, personal finance books. It's actually like a really fascinating field, and it should not be divorced from the art world. It is a big part of it, and it'll give you such a huge leg up from your artists, from other artists who have a negative mindset about money. And it's not even about how much they generate, it's about like cultivating that good relationship with money and finances. And it'll truly make it possible for you to continue in your career, to soar to new heights, and to make the kind of art that you want to make.
I totally agree with you. I think that's a very realistic advice that you have just given and shown the mirror like how the industry works. And it is pretty
Yeah,
important for everyone to know how the industry is working. So thank you so much for sharing that information with us.
my pleasure.
And thanks a lot for sharing your whole story and coming to this podcast and sharing your insight. It was really a great experience for me to talk to you and know you better. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so honored that you invited me and that I caught your eye. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Egle. Egle or Egle.
Agla, yeah.
Egle. Thank you.